Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, any questions about anything? Hey, is this lecture going to be recorded and uploaded? Yes, everything is. Nothing is going to change today. All right. Any questions about the homework that was assigned for today? Okay, I give you 2 minutes to gather your thought. Amanda 4.2, number 1G. And Cindy, okay. All right, so let's go through that. Alrighty, so all the problems are section 4.2. So we start from the first and we build up. So number one and is the G. Okay, so number one is this conversion between one format to another. So I just remind you the conversion and then we do the problem. So every function, as I said, could be written, exponential function, it could be written in the 2 format. And the way to go back and forth is, okay, if we know B, then K is the ln of B. And if we know K, B is e to the K. And K, we called it the continuous growth rate, and B, the growth factor. So let's start with number one and this one. Okay, the question is, we have the following function. F of t equal 4 times 3 to the t. Okay, and we have to rewrite it in the form a e to the kt. That's really what the problem is. All right, so in this case, the a is 4, and they are giving me the b, which is equal to 3. So k is the ln of b, which is, okay, I'm just putting it, so it means ln of 3, which is equal to ln of 3 is 1.0986. Okay, so it means that my function could be written in the form 4 times e to the power 16. All right, I have to mute because there is noise in the background. All right. So now what are the question here? Question R, what's the continuous growth rate? Continuous growth rate. The continuous growth rate is decay. It's 1.0986. Now what's the growth factor? Is the B, which is 3. What's the growth rate? And this is probably what's confusing you in this problem. Okay, who can tell what the growth rate is? Exactly, the growth rate is equal to 2 because the growth factor is 1 plus the growth rate. It means it's 2. Now 2 is how much percent? So the growth rate is 2, but the 2 represent, it's 200%. Okay, so it means that this represents a quantity that's growing by 200% every year. So every year it grows by 200%. Now we've never seen a scenario like that, but those scenarios can occur. So it's every year it grows by 200%. So if let us start at 4, so this is starting here at 4. After 1 year, it grew by 200%. It's going to grow basically by 2 times 4. So it's going to grow by 8. So it's going to plus 8. So it's going to be, so from here to here, it's going to be multiplied by 3. So it's growing by 8. So this is going to be like 1. And this is going to be 4 times. Going to be 12. So it grew, it's going to grow by 8. It means by 200%. It means twice as much as 4. So it's a huge growth. It's an absolutely tremendous growth. All right? Okay, any other questions along those lines? Okay, now I move on with you to the other question. So that's number 1. Then I have 15 and 18. So let's look at number 15. Is, okay, cobalt 58 is a radioactive substance that decreases at a rate of 0.9742% per day. So it's a certain radioactive substance. It decreases at this rate every day. Determine the half-life of cobalt. Now, as I said before, we need first a formula, and then we need the half-life. The problem here is that they did not give us the initial value because the initial value does not really affect the half-life. So what we have to introduce a function. I'm going to call f of t to be amount of cobalt 58 at time t. And f of t is the initial amount that I have no idea what it is because the problem did not tell me in this particular case, times b to the t. Another question it is, what is the b? It's decreasing at the rate of 0.9742%. It means the growth rate, first it decreases. It means I have a negative growth. So that's minus, and the growth is 0.9742%. Means when I divide this by 100, I'm going to get 0.0099742. Okay, that's the growth rate. B is the one minus that for 2. So my B is 1 minus 0.00974. Oh, my calculator is off and I'm punching numbers. Minus 0.0097442. So I'm getting 0.990258. Okay, so I keep the same decimal as they gave me. I'm not really rounding in this case. So it means that f of t is the initial, and it's really decreasing at a very, 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 very slow rate. I mean, very, very slow. So the half-life is going to be quite long because it's decreasing very slowly to the power t. Okay, now we need to find the half-life. So I cannot find the half-life before I have a formula for it. Now let us define the half-life. The half-life, it means we have to find the time such that f of t is half of what it started with, half the initial value. That's really what we have to do. It means we're going to set this equal half a and solve for t. (90258). and we know to solve for t. All right, so how we solve for t, as we did before, we're going to divide by a, both sides. So we divide by a, which will give me this, equal a half. And then we take the natural logarithm from both sides. So that's 0.99028 to the power t. And that will give me t multiplied by the ln equal ln of a half. And now the rest we have to solve for t. And I will get t equal ln of a half divided by the ln of 0.99028. And then finally, I find the value of t. So ln will be, t would be ln of a half divided by ln of this number. And I'm getting 70 years. I mean 70 days. Because the unit of time is this. So we need 70 days for the amount to be reduced to half its value. So if we started with, let us say, 5 milligrams, it's going to take 70 days to be reduced to half of 5, 2.5. If we start with 100 milligrams, it's going to take 70 days to be reduced to half of what it started with. So that's the half-life. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
When I plugged it into my calculator, I got 6.5.
Here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll do it again because I may have messed up myself. All right. So it's
I think I was plugging it in wrong, maybe.
So let's do it quickly. All right. So it's ln of 0.5 divided by ln of 0.990, sorry, 0258, 258. Okay, then do it again. My answer seems to be right. Okay, try it again. Make sure you can get it correctly. Okay. All right, so now let's look at number 18. And I have one more question from this section, which is 1I, I guess, and then we proceed to the review. Okay, so we look at number 18. Did you get the right answer, the student to ask me?
Yeah, I got it now. I was just doing ln 0.5 and getting that and then dividing it. I wasn't doing it as one.
I have a quick question, though, about the problem.
Yes, I'll bring the problem back. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. So when I was looking over it in the book to see if it was correct, they use log. So when I
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay, because I got the same answer, but I just
it
did
does
the log.
not matter. What matters is that if you use the log, you have to use it both sides. That's what matters.
Okay. So
because they have the same properties. Yes, because they have the same properties, it doesn't really matter. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so now let's look at number, what was it? What did you guys ask? 18. All right. Okay, so in number 18, so let me bring the paper down here. They tell me that the half-life of carbon-14 is that much. So they gave me the half-life. That's 5,730. And the question is, what percent does a sample decrease after 1 year? So they told me it takes that much to be reduced to half its value. And the question is, by how much, by what percent it decreases every year? It means the question is, we need to find the growth rate. That's really what the question. It means, okay, it takes that long to be reduced to half its initial value. It means how much is it decreasing per year? By what percent it is decreasing every year? Okay, we did something fairly similar last time. So let us see what's really going on in here. To find the growth rate, so let's get that. To find the growth rate, we need to find the growth factor, the B. To find growth rate, we need to find the B first. Okay, and then once I have the B, then I can find how fast it is growing, by what percent. All right. Now, to find the B, they have to give me something. They have to give me something. So let's see how we're going to find it. So we're going to call f of t to be the amount of carbon 14 after t years. Now, since we don't have initial value, I don't know what t equals 0 for them, but the only thing I know that f of t is going to be, so we're going to call a the initial amount that I don't know, but we will not need it in the problem. And then f of t has the form a times b to the t. And the question is, we need the b. The question is to find the b. So I need an equation which will allow me to solve for b. What's the equation that will allow me to solve for b? How can I use this information? So that's what's given to me to find the b. Back to you. How can I use this information? So half-life, I'm going to write it again here. So half-life is 5,730 years. How can I use this info? Okay, Alicia, no. Be careful, Alicia. Yes. What does it mean half-life? It means, watch carefully. I don't want you to, it means that if t, I write it here, it means if t, if the time is that much, if time is that much, then f of t is half its initial value. That's what it reads. Okay, so Alicia, be very careful. It means if the time is 5,730, not the output. If this is the time, the output is half what it started with. It means that in the terms of the formula, means if I plug in 5,730 for t, the output is halfway. I stop for a second so you guys interact with that. So the 5,730 is not the amount of carbon 14, it's the time for the amount to become half what it started with. Okay, now I can proceed. I need to solve for B. So I have an equation. So to be able to solve for B, I need to isolate this expression. So I divide by A. And this would give me B to the power 5,730 equal a half. Why it's a half? Because when I divide by A, this A will cancel out. I divide by A, this A will cancel out. I will have this kind of information. And now I need to find the B. We don't need logarithm in this case because the logarithm, we use it when the unknown is an exponent. The unknown is not an exponent here. That's the unknown. So the B is going to be this weird root, means it's the root of a half, or it's a half to the power 1 over 5,730. Okay, so it's to the power, so this is equal to, and now this is, the rest is computational. So I'm going to get 0.5 to the power 1 over 5,730. And I'm getting 0.9998. Okay. And now finally, so that's the B. So the growth factor is that much. That's the B, which is 1 plus the growth rate. So my growth rate is how far this is from 1. So the growth rate will be 1 minus that. And it's going to be so it's going to be 1.2 0.096. Sorry, that's nonsense. So it's going to be minus 0.1231209. And that will be the growth rate. It's a very, 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 very slow growth rate. It's very small because it's taking 5,730 years to be cut to it have its value. It means it's going down at a very, very, very small rate. Okay, questions before I think, no, I'm done. Question before I move on to the review, but I remember I saw something from Amanda. Amanda, you asked me a question, right? I forgot.
Yeah, I asked if we could do 1I.
Okay, I'll do 1I and then I will move on to the review. But questions before I move on. Okay. So we finalize with number 1I. Okay, I know that the last one was a little bit hard, but it's not very hard. Just go over it one more time. Okay. 1I. 1I. Okay. So here again, it's the same type of problems. F of t is 12 times a third to the power t. Okay. So here they gave me the b, which is a third less than 1. It means decreasing. And they want me to find the k. The k is the ln of b. And the k has to be negative because, as I said last time, positive k gives me increase, negative k gives me decrease. So this is going to be k is going to be ln of 1/3. So it's going to be minus 1.0986. Okay, and the function will be written e to the power t. Okay. And now the continuous growth rate is, so the continuous one is minus 1.0986. That's the continuous. The growth factor is the 1/3. And the growth rate is going to be a third minus 1, which is minus 2/3, because this is 1 plus the growth rate. Okay, it's a negative growth because we have decreasing, which is minus 2/3. Okay.
I also have one more question.
Yes.
It's just about the last problem. How exactly did you plug the 1 minus 0.9998 into the calculator? Because
This one?
different. Yeah, like when you did
Just
the
to
minus.
the power.
Oh, okay.
Which
Yeah,
one? Which one, Amanda?
Yeah, the 1 minus the 0.9998.
Yeah,
Like,
just
how do you
1
plug that in?
minus. So how much? 0.9998.
Yeah, that's what I get on my calculator, the 2e minus 4. So I was just confused about that.
Oh, did I do a stupid mistake? No, I didn't. What did I do here? Okay, honestly, I don't really know. My apology then.
Oh yeah, I just don't know how to.
Yeah,
like,
it's just, I just
in.
plug it in, my apology. So it should be minus 0.0002.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what I did. That's why I want you to work with me. So if I did any mistake, you guys will help. Okay, thanks, Alicia. All right. Okay, so any other questions? All right, so now let's have a quick overall for the review. And I know that there are some questions about the review, and I will go to as many as I can. So your final exam will cover everything. It means, when I say everything, I mean basically almost everything. So expect the first question to be find the equation of a line. I mean, you will be asked something as basic as finding the equation of the line. So you review that because we've done million along those lines. And I will keep my eye on the question that your classmate asked. Okay. Now, so the first question is find the equation using point slope and the slope intercept. So remember, point slope is y minus y0 is m times x minus x0. You know the slope, you know the point, you know the equation. Slope intercept, it means you write it under the form y equal mx plus b. You find the slope, and then you use a point to find the b. That's really what it's about. Question number 2, find the equation of the line that passes through this point and is perpendicular to the line with this equation. Now, two lines are perpendicular if their slope is the inverse reciprocal of each other. So finding equation of a line that passes through this point, means I have a point, is perpendicular to this line. So to find the equation of a line, I need a point and a slope. I have a point, I need the slope. If it's perpendicular to this line, it means I can find its slope once I know the slope of that one. The slope of this one, if I rewrite it into 4 5x minus 1, so this tells me that the slope here of line, this is equal to 5. It means the slope of the line I'm interested in is going to be minus 1 over 5. I have the slope, I have the point, I plug in here. So the equation would be 1 minus 2 is minus 1 over 5 x plus 1. Okay? So those are the basic questions that I consider them relatively simple. Okay. Part 2 is average rate of change. You will definitely have questions about that, and your classmate is asking me to do those problems. Okay. So the average rate of change, so we will go through that fairly quickly. So the average rate of change is for x between a and b is the value at this is slope minus the value at a over b minus a. So that's really the formula is about applying it. So if I do it for part B, so number 4, part B. Okay. Here my function is given by a formula, x squared minus 2x plus 6. And B is asking me to find the average rate of change for x between 2 and 2 plus h. So this is the A, basically, if you want to think about it this way, and this is the B. So that's how we think about it. So my average rate is the following. F at 2 plus h minus f of 2 divided by 2 plus h minus 2. So this will give me, the denominator will reduce to h, and this will give me that. Now, to be able to evaluate this average, I need to compute f of 2 plus h, and I need to compute f of 2. So what is f of 2 plus h? And we've done a lot along those lines during the semester. Okay, what does f do? It takes x and square it, minus 2 plus 6. Okay, and now we distribute. We have to distribute here. So if you distribute, you will get 4 plus 4h plus h squared. Make sure you guys distribute it. And then I distribute here, minus 2h plus 6. So this will give me, this and this will cancel each other out. I will have h squared plus 4h plus 6. F of 2. Okay, f of 2 is, I plug in 2, which is 2 squared, minus 2 times 2 plus 6, which is equal to 6. Now, once I evaluated every term, I go back to the average. So the average is going to be h squared plus 4h plus 6 minus the 6 over h. So which will give me plus 6 minus 6 cancel each other out over h. And then at this stage, we said, you know, we can factor out the h, because this h squared is h times h. So if I factor out the h, I will be left with 1h, and here I will left with 4, which leave me with h plus 4. Okay? So that's the mechanical part of it. Before I take up the second question that your classmate is asking me, find the average rate. So I will look at number 5 because this is emphasize a little bit the meaning. So I will look at part C, the rest you look up the answer key. Find the average rate. So here, the table below gives the number in million of the iPhone sold as a function of time. So as time goes by, the number of iPhones sold increased. So in 2008, 12 million were sold. In 2012, 125 million were sold, and so on and so forth. So as time is moving, the number of iPhone is increasing, and not at the same rate. I mean, as you realize, those 4 years, it jumped from 12 to 25. So if you keep evaluating, the rate is not the same. So it's not linear. The question is find the average rate of change. So this is the same formula. So the average rate of change is the number of iPhone in the year 2012 minus, so how much iPhone divided by that much. Okay. Now 2012, that's 4 years. Remember the unit here, I'm gonna put it like that, 4 years. It means during those 4 years, how many more iPhone were sold? 125 were sold in 2012. 12 were sold in 2008. So between those 2 time interval, that's 113 over 4. And if we evaluate this, we get like a certain number. I'm getting 28.25. But the question is, what's the meaning? What's the unit? What's the unit of this? The unit is, during those 4 years, 113 million iPhone extra were sold. So 113 million, so between those 2 years, 113 extra were sold. When we divide by 4, this is gonna give me the average per year. It means every year, so the unit is gonna be million per year. The unit here is year. It means every year, on average, 28.25 million more iPhone were sold. So the average rate tells me that on average, how many extra were sold per year, that much per year. Okay, so the average is like the velocity. It means on average, how much the number of iPhones sold is, on average, that much per year. All right, now I look at the 6. 6 is one of those typical problems that you should expect on your exam. It's not hard, but just to know that you guys can do to understand a graph. So are you going to have something like that? Most probably, because this is tells me, can you read a graph? That's really why I ask those type of problems. So find f of minus 3. You guys do it. That's simple. If you don't do it, it means we're in trouble. The question number B is, find all the input such that f of c is minus 1. So it means here minus 1 is an output value. And my question is, what are the input that gives me an output of minus 1? Now this graph is a little bit messy, but that's okay. This is minus 10. That means we're going by 2. So minus 1 should be here. So I'm asking, what are the input which give me an output of minus 1? That's really what I am asking. All right, now if we look at the graph, we have a point here. So one value is a little bit above 4. And one value is very, very much negative value. And the other value is something like minus 0.2. So these are the values for where this is occurring. Now on the exam, I will promise you a better graph. So, but that's the idea. -1 is an output, and you're asking yourself, which C's will give me an output of -1? Then typical question, when is it increasing? So, for example, increasing here. So increasing between -1.5, which is right there, and somewhere here, almost 2.5. Increasing, it means the graph rises. And usually you give me the X values, not the Y values. When it's decreasing here, it's decreasing here. Means X less than -0.5, X larger than 2.5. That's a typical question that I said to make sure you guys can read a graph. What's the average rate? Again, it's f of 4 minus f of 2 divided by 4 minus 2. And you just have to compute those numbers. So if this is 4, f of 4 is right here. So that seems to be 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. F of 2, so this is 1, this is 2. F of 2 seems to be 20. Over 4 minus 2, it's a 2, and that's 18 minus 20, so it's going to give me a -1. Okay. All right. Now, part 7 is a typical linear function. I will do another problem that involves linear a little bit later on. Here I'm telling you this function is linear. Find a formula. You find the slope, use the point slope form, and then you can find your formula for the linear function. All right, now the question is 8. All right. Okay, so let's take up number 8. Number 8. Okay, that's a typical quadratic function. Plus 5. And we have several questions. I know your classmate is asking about B and C, and you will do both of them. So that's a quadratic function. It means the graph here is going to be a parabola, up or parabola going down. Because A here is 1, positive, it means it's concave up or going up. So the graph is going to look like that, not like this, because A is positive. And question number 1 is A, find the coordinate of the vertex. This is the vertex of the parabola, the vertex. Now I gave you a formula for the vertex. Please use the formula I gave you, not whatever you get from the internet, because if you get me something from the internet, I will ask you, how did you get it? So please make sure you use the formula that I'm giving you. So the formula is that the X coordinate is minus B over 2A. So which is equal minus. The B in my problem is -4 and the C is 5. So it is -4 over 2A, over 2, which is going to give me a 2. That's the X coordinate. The Y coordinate of the vertex is, you plug in 2 in the equation, which is going to give me a 4 minus 8 plus 5, give me -4 plus 5, which gives me the 1. So the vertex has for coordinate 2, 1. Then I'm asking you to find the coordinate, big deal. B, find the zeros. What does the zeros mean? The zero are the values of X, where the function, where the output is equal to 0. It means what are the X value? It means where the graph intersects the X axis. Okay, to find them, we're gonna set equal 0 and solve for X. Okay. Now, how do we solve for X? Whenever you have a quadratic, you have 2 ways. Either you factor. If you don't know how to factor, because you don't see it how to factor, you use the quadratic formula. Okay, factoring, it means you look for 2 numbers. When you multiply them, you get 5. When you add them, you get -4. Now you can try and you realize that you cannot factor. So if you can't factor, use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula tells me that there are two solutions, minus b plus the square root over 2a, and minus b minus the square root over 2a. Okay, so to be able to do it, I need to evaluate b squared minus 4ac. Okay, what's b squared minus 4ac? Now, b in my problem was minus 4 squared. The a is 1 and the c is 5. So that's going to give me 16 minus 20. This is equal to minus 4. All right. What does it mean? If I get b squared minus 4ac equal negative 4, remember here, I need to put it under the square root. So what does this mean? Exactly, that's a negative number. That's a negative number. So if I'm going to use the formula, I'm going to have here negative number, which is not defined. What does it mean to you? It means that there are no zeros. It means to you there is no value of x, such that f of x equal to 0. There is nothing. So graphically, what's really happening here? Let me sketch the graph and you will understand the picture fully. The zeros are usually where the value of x, where the function takes the value 0. So those are the zeros. If there are no zeros, it means the graph will never touch the x-axis. So let's see how the graph looks like. The vertex is 2, 1. This is 2, and this is 1. That's the vertex. The graph is a parabola going up. So when I'm going to graph this, I'm going to get this parabola going up. And as you realize, the parabola will never hit the x-axis. So that's why the algebra and the graph coincide with each other. We're not hitting the x-axis. There are no zeros or whatsoever. Okay, so do not be alarmed if you get a negative number. It means there is no value of x you plug here and will spit out a 0 number. Now C, probably I will not do all of C. I mean, you guys should, I won't. So the problem number C is find all the values of x such that f of x equal to 6. Means I have to set up. I'm going to put this equal to 6 and solve for x. Okay. Now, whenever you have a quadratic and you want to solve it, I told you that in class several times, you make one side 0 and you put everything from the other side. To make this side 0, I have to take away a 6 from both sides. So if I take 6 and 6, I'll be left with 1. At this stage, again, you factor. And this is not going to be easy to factor. So because you cannot find two numbers, when you multiply them by 1, you get a 1. When you add them, you get minus 4. Use the quadratic formula for that. And this one will work. So use the quadratic formula. Okay.
Wouldn't it be minus 1 if you're subtracting?
Did I mess up? Thank you very much. Yeah. And use the quadratic formula. Okay. Now, part D and C, I've done a lot along those lines. Please do them. I mean, please do everything, whether I do it or not, because you guys want to make it. Okay, so let's see what I'm taking an idea what your classmate is asking. Okay, we're done with it, 17 and 18. One question before I move to 17 and 18 is when the number 11 is find F inverse. You guys had difficulties with that during exam 2. I forgot which exam, but when I've asked about this graphical interpretation, some of you had difficulties. So I would just remind you, what does it mean? Finding F inverse of anything means find the value of X, the input, that gives an output of B. Okay, so the F inverse of B is the input value, is the X that make F of X equal to B. So I will do part B. What's F inverse of 0? It means we have to find the X value such that F of X equal to 0. So this is F inverse of 0. So now I go back to my graph. What is the X value that gives me F of X equal to 0? If this is 0, the X value is -2. A lot of you messed up this question on the previous exam, so please go over it, okay? All right. Number 12, you did fine. Do it again, but my memory is you did fine. Now I have to go through. I want to talk a little bit about 15, and then if I have time, I will look up 17 and 18. Okay. Okay, so probably I will do 18 and I'll let you do 17 yourself. But 15, I want to talk about a little bit about it because I think it's important. Because it contrasts linear and exponential. Remember, linear means by the same amount every year, every unit, the same exact amount. Exponential is the same percent. So it's a very different behavior. When it grows by the same percent, it doesn't grow by the same amount. Because let us say we started with 500. You grow by 8%, okay, the money grew, and then you get 8% on the new amount of money. That means the function is increasing faster and faster, or decreasing slower and slower. So I will look at number 15. I will do A and B, and then I will do the question that you want, number 18, I guess. Right. So number 15. Okay, I will read it. A population has size 5,000 at time t equal to 0 with t in years. Let P of t to be the population in the year t. Find a formula for the population in each of the following scenario. So I'm giving you that initially. The population, let me call it P of t. So at 0, the population is 5,000. That's initial population. A. The population decreases by 100 people per year. The question, is this a linear or exponential? Question number 2, what's the formula? Question number 1, is this linear or exponential? Quickly. Is it linear? It means, is it decreasing by the same thing? Yes or no? Linear or exponential? This is absolutely linear, because this is telling me that at 0, the population 5,000, and what's doing after that? Every year is going down by 100. That's linear. Now, what's the formula for that? Who can write the formula quickly on Brightspace? I mean, on chat. What's the formula? Very quickly, because when I give you this problem on the exam, my mind, that should not take more than 2 minutes. What's the formula? It's linear. It means it has the form mt plus b. That's linear. What is m here? Every unit is going down by 100. And b is usually the initial value, which is 5,000. So that's the problem part A. B is the following. It decreases by 8% per year. This is exponential. So this is exponential. It means P of t is A, B to the t. Now I need the formula. A is what we're starting with. The growth rate is 0.08. So that's going to be 1 minus it to the power t. Okay, so be very careful with the scenario. By the same amount, that's linear. By the same percent, that's in exponential growth versus decay. Now I look at number 18, and I encourage you to do number 17 on your own. So number 18. Number 18. Okay, let f of x be a function. And I'm giving you that if x is 5, f takes the value 22. And if x is 25, f takes the value 6. So I'm giving you 2 input values. Question number A is, assume f linear. Find a formula for f of x. F linear, it means when you're graphing this function, you're getting a straight line. So this is my 5. This is 22. That's a point on the line. And if this is 25, this is 6. Linear is the graph is a line. And these are the 2 points on the line. Find a formula that's linear. It means the formula is mx plus b. To find the formula, I need m and I need b. I don't have either one. So let me here write a table with the value x f of x. 5, I have 22. 25, I have 6. So first I need to find the slope. It's y2 minus y1. It's the change in y over the change in x, which is 25 minus 5. And we know that this has to be a negative number because it is going down. So this 6 minus 22, that's going to give me minus 16 over 20. And if I do a little bit of simplification, I'm going to get here, actually, if we do a little bit, 16 over 2, that's going to give me an 8 divided, that's going to give me minus 0.8. And that's the slope. So now I know the slope, I still need a b. Be careful, b is not 22. A lot of you are still confusing that. B is not 22. I don't know the b in this case. Now you can use here a point. So you say, okay, this is a point on the line. It means if I plug in 5 for x, the output should be 22. So I find my b. That's going to give me a 4 plus that. It means my b is 26. And my formula will be, what is my formula? Minus 0.8x plus 26. Okay, so the b in the picture is right here. That's the b. That's the 26, which is I did not find. All right. Now b is, so this problem is mainly the goal is to, remind you linear versus exponential. So assume f exponential. Find a formula. Immediately, exponential means the form is a b to the t, or b to the x in this scenario. Find the formula, it means we need to find the a and the b. And usually you have 2 points to be able to do that. So what do we have here? Again, the same point. So right now, it's the same point, which is 5, 22, and right here, how much? 25 and 6. But now the graph is like that. It's exponential. So the graph is not a line anymore. That's the graph we're dealing with right now. It's an exponential decay. So how to find a and b? We've done a lot along those lines. Okay, at 5, the output is 22. It means if I plug in 5 for x, I get 22. Now, f of 25 equal to 6. It means if I plug in 25 for x, I get a 6. Now I have to use those two equations to solve for a and b. And the way we do it, as you guys remember, we divide. And we try to take the highest power in the top because it makes my problem easier. So this is 6. And this is 22. Okay, now the goal of this trick that we use is to simplify the a's. And now I will be left with b to the following power. 25 over 5. We use the exponent rule, an over am. We take away the power. So 25 minus 5, that's going to give me 20, equals 6 over 22. So if I simplify by 2, I will get 3 over 11. And now I need the b. So the b is the 20th root. Means 3 over 11 to the power 1 over 20. And now we evaluate the b. And I don't know how much we get. 3 over 11 to the power 1 over 20. Oh, sorry. 11 to the power 1 over 20. I'm getting, unless you guys get anything else, I'm getting 0.9371. So that's what give me piece of it. This give me the b. Now I need the a. So finally we find the a. So now we have that f of x. Now I have part of the problem. It's my a times my b to the power x. Now I need a. I say, okay, I have two equations. This one and that one. I use one of them. Any one you want, I don't really care. So we say that a times b to the power 5 is equal to 22. It means a times 0.9371 to the power 5 equal to 22. I want my a. I divide by that. We've done problem along those lines. This is just a review. So my a would be, and that's why my calculator kicks in, divided by 0.9371 to the power 5, and I am getting 30.443. So it means my function f of x would be my a. So the numbers are a little bit not very nice, but it's all right. To the power x. Okay. So this is just a small review. That's not the whole review. For you guys, my advice to you is, I know it's going to take time, but you guys want to get through the course. You have to go all the quizzes. We have 8 of them, including the one I do today. It doesn't take a lot of time with you if you guys focus on them. So do the quizzes and check the solution, because the solution is actually explained. Then do exam 1, exam 2, review them with the solution written, and then do the review. And if you do all this, you should be fine. If you don't, it's up to you. You will be back with somebody else next year. I don't think you want that. Okay. Any questions before I let you go to take the quiz? The quiz will be out in a minute. Any questions you guys have about anything?